June 18, 1815. A muddy field in Belgium. And the man who conquered Europe is about to make the decision that will destroy him forever. Napoleon Bonaparte stood at Waterloo with 72,000 men, facing down the armies that wanted him dead. He'd escaped exile once. Reclaimed France in 100 days. Now, one battle stood between him and total victory. But in the chaos of that Sunday morning, Napoleon made a choice that military historians still debate today. A choice that would end an empire. This is the moment Napoleon lost at Waterloo. The night before the battle, torrential rain turned the battlefield into a swamp. Napoleon's artillery, his greatest weapon, was useless in the mud. His generals begged him to attack at dawn. Strike the British before Prussian reinforcements arrived. But Napoleon waited. He wanted the ground to dry. He wanted his cannons ready. It was a gamble that would cost him everything. By the time Napoleon finally attacked at 11:30 a.m., he'd lost 4 critical hours. 4 hours for the Duke of Wellington to strengthen his position on the ridge. 4 hours closer to the Prussian army's arrival. But Napoleon was confident. He'd beaten larger armies before. He'd crushed the Austrians, the Russians, the Prussians themselves. Why would today be different? The French assault was devastating. Wave after wave of infantry crashed against British lines. Wellington's forces were cracking. Soldiers later described the sound as hell itself, cannons roaring, men screaming, horses dying in their thousands. Napoleon was winning. Then came his second fatal decision. At 4 p.m., Napoleon saw Prussian forces approaching from the east. Not the full army, just advance units. He had a choice: retreat while he still could, or commit his elite Imperial Guard to break Wellington before the Prussians arrived in force. Napoleon chose glory over survival. He sent in the Guard. These were the men who'd never lost a battle. Veterans who'd marched from Moscow to Madrid. 5,000 of France's finest soldiers advancing in perfect formation through artillery fire and musket volleys. Wellington's line was exhausted, depleted, barely holding. If the Guard broke through, Napoleon would win. Europe would be his again. But something impossible happened. The Imperial Guard, Napoleon's invincible elite, were stopped cold. British infantry rose from behind the ridge and unleashed devastating volleys at point-blank range. For the first time in their history, the Guard retreated. Across the battlefield, French soldiers heard the cry that shattered their world: "La Garde recule, the Guard retreats." Panic spread like wildfire. The French army collapsed. Napoleon's empire died in that moment, not from superior strategy, but from his own miscalculation. He'd waited too long. Gambled too much. Believed too deeply in his own legend. Within hours, 47,000 men lay dead or wounded. Napoleon fled the field, abdicated 4 days later, and spent his final years imprisoned on a remote island in the Atlantic. The man who'd crowned himself emperor, who'd redrawn the map of Europe, ended his days dictating memoirs to a handful of followers, forever haunted by that muddy field in Belgium. Waterloo didn't just end Napoleon's reign. It ended an era. One battle. One decision. One moment that changed history forever.